There have been a ton of Switch sales lately, and thank goodness, because we all need cheap stuff to play, new stuff to play, and Nintendo has delivered. But we're usually talking United States sales. And right now, there's an absolutely massive sale rocking Europe. It is the Nintendo eShop Spring Sale 2020. It houses over 300 games, and I gotta show some love to that side of the pond because this deal is insane. And if you're anywhere else, you can't just make a European eShop account, a UK eShop account, and go dabble in the deals as long as you have a point card for that region. It's pretty easy to do, so let's all take a look and see what they've got. I've got so many games today. I'm going to start straight into it. Over 40 titles, everybody. Let me know in the comments down below which of these games you like best, would want most, and would recommend to a friend. Hit that like button if you enjoy the video and like knowing about these sales. Now, there's honestly about 60 amazing games out of 300, I think, personally. That's my take. I'm not even going to talk about the ones that I mentioned in the US sale because the US sale is smaller. The Europe sale has almost all of the US games, plus tons more. So we're going to focus on the new titles that are exclusive to this Europe Spring sale, but just know that games like Spyro and Crash and Diablo, they're all on sale as well, and it's all till April 19th. You can check out my US video. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to see all those recommendations because they do apply to this Europe sale. But let's kick things off with The Witcher 3, baby. 30% off down to 34.99 pounds. You know The Witcher. It's a great game. Freaking 250 Game of the Year awards. This one is a showstopper, and I think getting it for 30% off on Switch is a really nice deal. It's a phenomenal port. They packed so much in. Yes, the graphics are not going to look as good as they do elsewhere, but with cross saves now, dump your save file over and you are ready to go. I think this is a fantastic port job. Even if it's not my favorite game in the world, like, wow. CD Projekt Red absolutely crushing it, delivering The Witcher on Switch. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is getting a sequel at some point later this year. Maybe it gets delayed till 2021, but you can grab the first game on Switch for 50% off, 12.49 pounds. This is a very emotional and involved, evocative single-player adventure from the fantastic folks who made Heavenly Sword, DMC, Enslaved. They do amazing work over there at Ninja Theory. I like them so much, and this game, some regard as their best. Now, it is the most story-driven, I think, and the most intense, but the combat is still very good. The boss battles are pretty darn awesome, and the way that you emote and feel what Senua is going through, it's impressive. I can't wait for the second game. This is a tearjerker may not be the right word, more of like a chill driver. It's going to make you think, it's going to make you feel. It deals with a lot of like mental psychosis, so it's not for the faint of heart, but it is a really strong game. Kunai is my love, baby. Kunai is a phenomenal indie. It's a Metroidvania. It might be my favorite Metroidvania on the system. It is 30% off down to 10.7 pounds until April 19th, like all of these games. You are a tablet named Tabby, and you got to work your way through a wonderful world utilizing these kunai to traverse and then utilizing different weapons and upgrades to take down. I love the system where when you kill an enemy, you get currency that's going to help you upgrade your character. It's a great loop. The boss battles are fantastic, very old school pattern based. It is a challenging game, and some of the checkpoints aren't the greatest, but it is awesome, and you can't go wrong at that price point. Metro 2033 Redux is 30% off, down to 15.74 pounds. Now, over here in Europe, they've got both games separate. Recently, we talked about the Metro Redux bundle sale on Amazon, where it was the combo package of 2033 and Last Light. But over on this sale, they've got them separate. So you can buy each one or both. If you've played one, maybe you want to get the other. They're the same price, 30% off, 15.74. 2033 is a lot more linear. Last Light is a little more open. And then obviously we know the most recent Metro game is super open. That one's not on Switch, but these are strong titles. They added the Last Light gameplay improvements to 2033 Redux. So if you're worried about that game, because initially when it released, it did get some not so, there's some control things that aren't the greatest about it. It did feel a little like AA. They do say Metro 2033 Redux offers hours of AAA gameplay. And maybe now it's AAA given that they have made the improvements. But it felt AA when it came out. Nonetheless, very interesting games as you traverse these Russian tunnel undergrounds. Apocalypse has struck, and you got to survive with whatever you can, finding few bullets, making sure your gas mask is ready to go, and taking on some very spooky creatures. I've heard these ports are very well done, so don't be shy about grabbing these guys. Now, I know firsthand that the Darksiders ports are awesome. 50% off, 13.49 for War Mastered Edition, and 40% off, 15.59 for Definitive Edition if you want the sequel. War over here in the first game, very Legend of Zelda-esque. The best way to describe this game, mature rated Legend of Zelda. You've probably seen tons of it. It's a phenomenal game, a phenomenal port. It is a little old school, but not too old that it'll feel bad in 2020. Now you get to play Death in Darksiders 2. It's much more of a looter melee. There's DLC included in here, and they rock the playtime at over 30 hours. It's a fun one, and I know that this game didn't get as much love or review as well as the first, but I still think it is a good time as you go around looking for upgrades to your gear, getting all sorts of new weaponry, and watching those numbers fly off all the enemies. Still some puzzle solving, still some platforming, and still the very wonderful world that THQ Nordic has going on over there. Hypercharged Unboxed is 30% off, down to $13.99. This is a fantastically fun game that just got a big upgrade. It started off as a pretty cool Toy Story-esque shooter on Switch. It's an FPS where you're rocking as toys around big environments like kitchens and backyards and toy stores. It's just a super cool graphical style. You pick up upgrades as the rounds progress to build out your gun, and it's mostly actually a cooperative wave-based like tower defense horde mode shooter, but there also is PvP, and they recently had a really big update that pushed the game in many directions. We're talking gameplay improvements, content improvements, replayability improvements, tutorial improvements. So I do like this one. I give it a recommendation. I think it is fun if you're looking for an FPS, and also if you're a Wiz and Buddy fan, I mean, it's the best Toy Story game you're gonna play in 2020. The Blob 2, who remembers The Blob? It's 80% off, down to 5.39 pounds. This game kind of did the Splatoon thing before Splatoon. The Blob is more of a, it's just like the single player portion of Splatoon. You are spreading color around this world, solving puzzles and 3D platforming. Splatoon is obviously a better game, and don't get me wrong, it has plenty of its own ideas. That is a shooter. This is a 3D platformer, but it's got like the color painting the world mechanics, and it's actually pretty neat. I wouldn't recommend this if it was full price, but at 80% off, I think you'll enjoy your time. Tumble Seed. Ooh, you guys ready for difficulty to the max? Tumble Seed is going to take you to task for 3.95 pounds, 67% off. This is an OG Switch indie, and it is hard. Like Dark Souls. Dark Souls is a balloon, just like off in the distance compared to Tumble Seed, I feel. You're using the sticks to move this bar up the screen and roll your seed around trying to avoid holes, obstacles, enemies, collect power-ups, and survive. It has a very cool, colorful aesthetic, but it is brutal. It is so tough. It's so tough to make any progress in this game, but you'll feel so good when you do. So if you're up to the challenge, I highly recommend this one, especially at that low price point. Thumper, very intense game. 4.79 pounds, 70% off. You're going to roll your way through one of these games. I don't know what genre you call this, but you know, where you're moving fast and the music is bumping and you have to like switch tracks and I don't mean music tracks, switch tracks on the path and navigate and try to survive and stay alive and get a high score. It's a very cool game. It almost takes you to another place, kind of a dark place. The music is that intense. They call it a rhythm hell, and I think that's a perfect descriptor. But a lot of people like this game. If you're looking for something rhythmic, something music based, and something just totally unique that will suck you in, and you'll be like, you get in that zone and you're just thumping along with Thumper. It's a good time for 4.79 pounds. Mashin Areum, a classic adventure title with super cute art, 5.19 from the makers of Samros and Botanicula. I like this game a lot. It's 60% off. It's going to give you a few hours of puzzly fun. It is really cool. Me and my brother played this a ton when we were younger on PC, solving all the puzzles. Beautiful art. Wonderful art and very clever puzzles. It's not for everybody. It's slow paced. They're puzzles. They're difficult. Some of them can feel a little obtuse. But if you like that sort of thing, it's fantastic, and it, I'm sure, is great on Switch. Next up, we've got Sea Salt, which is my podcast recommendation of the week. I remember Rebel FM talking so highly about this one. It is 9.44 pounds, 30% off. It's interesting. You are controlling all sorts of like Cthulhu horror creatures, taking your swarms to attack victims and unlocking new units as you go. So you are facing off against the good guys as the bad guys and using sort of this like RTS system, swarm system, almost like PacMan ish, to control your units and take over. It's such a sweet concept. The remarks have been really strong on this. I didn't even know it was on Switch until recently, so I'm grabbing this on sale, 30% off. It looks fun. Katamari Damacy Reroll is 50% off, 7.99. I know a lot of people like Katamari, and so the fact that Katamari is 50% off, I think it's a worthwhile time. It is an HD game for Katamari Damacy. And you can use the Joy-Con gyro controls if you want to control the ball that way. Otherwise, you can navigate it normally. You know if you like this or not. It is very quirky, very weird, and something from, an era forgotten. But it can be remembered on Switch if you want to play it for half off. Alien Isolation was a surprise when it came to Switch a while back. 30% off down to 20.99 pounds in this game. You are trying to avoid the alien. Do not get near the alien. Do not fight the alien. Do not try anything with the alien, okay? It reviewed pretty darn well when it first came out on other platforms. Now it's on Switch as of last year. It doesn't look as great as other platforms, but it's a pretty solid port. It's a fun game if you're into horror where you have to hide a lot and be very careful. And if you're spotted, it's probably no more for you. Again, you're exploring a space station, scavenging for hidden resources, crafting items and tech to improvise weapons and deterrence against the ultimate threat. There are other enemies besides the alien. It's not just one thing out there. This version packs all the DLC. It is a very intense game, very scary. There's been a lot of intensity here. But if you are up to this sort of thing, it's very cool that they moved it to Switch, and I think a lot of you will enjoy. Olly Switch stance is 4.04 pounds, 70% off. It combines the Olly titles, which are these side-scrolling skateboarding games. Do you like Tony Hawk back in the day? I really did, and this game captures that tremendously. There are so many levels, so many challenges. You're going for high scores, going to master the moveset. It is so much fun. Yes, it is not 3D like Tony Hawk, but they found a way to convert it, reduce the amount of planes, and still deliver so much sky-soaring fun. There is multiplayer. I like the single player, just trying to master tricks and work your way through this adventure. It's pretty darn amazing, and I like it a lot. Next up, we've got Child of Light Ultimate Edition, which is 4.8 pounds, 70% off. This is an RPG. Back when Ubisoft liked to do their UbiArts games, trying to make things very pretty, very clever. It's an interesting RPG that has a unique combat system that I actually really jived with. Now, it looks like it could be a traditional turn-based JRPG, but it's a much more active battle system with a very cute, young at heart storyline. Now, I think it's super fun. It's very pretty. It's not ultra deep, but there is enough depth there for you to learn, progress, and advance through the battle system. I think at this price point, you're going to get your money's worth for sure. And it's one of those games like, man, I wish UbiArts was still around. Stranger Things 3, the game, is 75% off, down to 3.99 pounds. I don't think this is a great game, but I put this in here in case you love Stranger Things. Wanted to grab the game, didn't like the initial price point. Sad that Season 4 is delayed. Now you can get in some action with all your favorites from Hawkins for 3.99. Don't Starve Nintendo Switch Edition, a classic from Clay. It's 70% off, 5.39 pounds in this title. You're trying to survive by starting with virtually nothing. You think Animal Crossing is inviting and relaxing? Don't Starve takes things the same genre but a whole different direction. You gotta survive, baby. You don't eat, you're done. You don't stay warm, you're done. You run into creatures, they're not moving in, they're eating you. Phenomenal game, tons of DLC, a bunch of different characters that add to replayability. Survive as long as you can. If you haven't ever played this, or if you still want to go back and see what they've done in the recent years, it's a great price on Switch. Battle Chasers Night War is 70% off, 10.49 pounds. I have not played this one myself, but again, it's one of those podcast recommendations. Got a lot of love. It's got that Joe Mad art, a very pretty JRPG, a lot of game there for 70% off. And if you are into turn-based stuff, but want a little bit of a different styling than the traditional JRPG, look at this art. Ooh, it's just sizzling right there, making my eyes water with thanks for the gorgeous graphics. I might get in on this one. I never really played much when it dropped initially, but I like that price a lot. Fury is 7.19 pounds, down 60%. This is a boss rush adventure, dual stick sword fighting shooter, and you're gonna work your way through a ton of challenges. This is a very cool one. This will be our Gabe pick of the week. He loved this game when it first dropped, and you can grab it on Switch if that is your cup of tea. It kind of honestly reminds me of Travis Strikes Again, the No More Heroes title that released on Switch. This game probably better, honestly, and can be had for a lower price point. So give it a go if that's your cup of tea. It is difficult, so know that, but not as difficult as, say, Tumble Seed. Trials Rising is not a phenomenal Trials title, but it's 60% off for 7.99 pounds. At that price point, yeah, go for it. Trials Rising, you control the motorcycle. It's very nuanced. It's very finicky. You got to do everything you can to balance that bike and work your way through all of the different challenges. I like this series a lot. I did not like Rising so much when it came out, but part of it was the price point. Ubisoft also just has taken the franchise in like a little bit of a weird direction since they acquired the IP. It used to be a PC title. I feel like it was more hardcore, and now it's gotten a little goofier, and a lot of people don't like that. But this one does have multiplayer. It does have a lot of tracks, and I do think at this price point, it's still good. Rayman Legends Definitive Edition, continuing with the Ubisoft love. 75% off, $7.49. You probably know what Rayman Legends is. Fantastic side-scrolling platformer. You sick of Mario? Get this. Look at that graphics. Look at that art. Look at those bosses. Beautiful gameplay. Awesome ideas. Wonderful stages. And a colorful cast of characters. This is a great price point. Grab it. You heard me say Kunai is my favorite Metroidvania on this system. I'm sure some of you screamed Axiom Verge is better, and it might be for a lot of you. 50% off, down to 7.49. We know the sequel is coming in the near future. This one is only on sale till April 16th, so do note that you got 3 less days. It is a very cool, old-school Metroidvania designed by Tom Happ, and they did amazing work. You unlock all sorts of awesome new weapons. You've got quite a storyline on this alien world, and you can prep for the sequel with better, or not better necessarily, but with advanced graphics and all new gameplay and weapons. People just rave about this. Gabe, this is one of his favorite games on Switch. I prefer stuff like Kunai, but I know a lot of you are going to love the look, the style, and maybe you've already even played Axiom Verge. Now's a chance to double dip or get in for the first time at 50% off. Windjammers, I love this game. I played it accidentally at a friend's house, and we fell in love. It's 60% off, down to 5.39. It's an old arcade game. It is so awesome. You're throwing this disc back and forth with different power characters and trying to get it in the goal. It reminds me a lot of Disc Jam. Rather, Disc Jam reminds me a lot of Windjammers. Windjammers 2 is a thing that has been out at just demoed at PAX. It's coming to Switch at some point, but Windjammers 1 is cheap, and it's a great time. It's a fantastic multiplayer game. I like it a lot. If you have a friend and want to dig into this, 2 players, get after it. It's not going to run you much money, and it will bring you a lot of fun as you stay at home. Wargroove, 30% off, 11.19 pounds. This game is Advance Wars for the modern era. Chucklefish & Co. did good work bringing 12 commanders, 4 factions, and a map creator with online, local, competitive co-op play. You're working your way through battles in Advance Wars style. For some reason, I don't love this game as much as Advance Wars, but it really is good. They've added to it, and they'll continue to add to it. It seems like you can get your unique groove ability to sway the battle in your favor, align with a commander that you love, look at the pretty darn cool battle sequences, and also play as a war dog, which is kind of nifty. Trine Ultimate Collection is 60% off, 15.99 pounds. That compiles Trine 1, 2, and 3 into one download. The Trine games are nice. It's got a lot of cooperative or lonely co-op, character, action, character puzzle solving games where the characters have specific skill sets that you need to use to navigate and platform through the world. They're very pretty. Some of the games are better than others, but getting all 3 for 60% off, totally worth it. You'll like at least one of them, and I think they are very fun times. Now, Trine 4 is the newest title, and that one is also 50% off, so you can either get 3 games for 16 pounds or 1 game for 15, but it is the newest title. I don't think Trine 4 is the best in the series, but the Nightmare Prince is still pretty good. It brings things back to the classic 2.5D, and it has a lot of beautiful levels, 4-player local and online co-op, skill trees, and again, just really stellar visuals, looking painterly and pretty as you play as the knight and the rogue and the mage and whoever else. This what is this creature called? I'm blanking. Porcupine. Thank you. All right. Next up, we've got Bastion. Oh my goodness. 80% off, down to 2.19 pounds. Buy this game. Supergiant does amazing work. Pyre is phenomenal. It's not on Switch yet, but it should be. Hades is phenomenal. It's not on Switch yet, but it should be. Bastion is their original game. Traversing through a dungeon narrated by a very gruff voice, you will do your best to hack and slash your way through this gorgeous world that generates as you walk. You probably know Bastion. Great price. Transistor is another title from Supergiant. I don't like it as much as their other games, but a lot of people do. 3.09 pounds. That's 80% off. It is an action RPG. It's got like some sort of stop the battle and kind of plan out your attacks, plan out your route. It reminds me a little bit of more of a tactical game than maybe an action RPG, but It does have a very beautiful art style, a unique storyline, and if you like Supergiant, why not? It's £3. LA Noir is 50% off, down to 22.49 pounds. This is that detective work. Cole Phelps rolling through LA from Rockstar on the Switch, using that face technology to read people's expressions and tells and try to solve crime cases. The game gets a little goofy at the end, but the first 10 hours of this are phenomenal. I think it's some of Rockstar's best work. It doesn't get ever talked about in the same breath as Max Payne, GTA, Red Dead, but LA Noir is awesome, and if you have a chance to play it, you absolutely should. PacMan Championship Edition 2 Plus is 75% off, down to 4.24 pounds. I like PacMan Championship Edition and 2. It's PacMan. It is remixed. It is revamped. It's pretty addictive and pretty fun. They're releasing this as part of an upcoming Namco collection, but you might as well just get this game by itself. It probably will be the most fun out of that coming package. Call of Juarez Gunslinger is 30% off, down to 12.59 pounds. I actually like Gunslinger. I don't think Call of Juarez is a phenomenal franchise, but I like Gunslinger a lot. And if you're looking for a shooter with that cowboy flair on your Nintendo Switch, this one is pretty darn fun and available at a solid price point. They added motion control and HD rumble to the games. It doesn't look the best, but like I said, you're looking for something different and new to play. I do like this game, and I beat it back in the day when it initially released. Crypt of the Necrodancer Nintendo Switch Edition is 80% off, down to 3.59 pounds now. Cadence of Hyrule is obviously the recommendation, but if you've played that and want to see what inspired it, or if you haven't played either and you want to test if you'll even like this type of rhythm-based dungeon crawling, then this is a low price point, a low investment. And the first game is still fantastic. There is local co-op, but definitely going to be headphone solo adventure, trying to move to the beat to tackle and take down enemies, upgrade as you go. It's got those different roguelite elements as you move through. It's very, very cool, and I like it a lot. And, Cadence combines Zelda with this, so give it a go. Luminous Remastered is 50% off, down to 6.74. My OG PSP game. Yes. A lot of music titles here. Crypt, Thumper, now Luminous. Luminous is a puzzle game with a heavy music focus, a lot of gorgeous graphic visualizers rolling. You're trying to make blocks. It can be challenging. It can also be soothing. It can also be intense. It's like a good puzzle game. You know what to expect. I recommend this game. $6.74 is a pretty solid price. Valkyria Chronicles 4 is 50% off, down to 17.49 pounds. Taking the Valkyria franchise to Switch-aroo. It is turn-based strategy, part RPG, part real-time third-person shooter, because as you move through the world, you're going to be firing, but with limitations. So think XCOM, but third person, but you actually move and fire. Very in-depth war storyline. I think the first game is still my favorite in the franchise, but 4 is pretty darn good. We liked it when initially it came out. There's a lot of DLC options. I don't know that you need those, but getting the game for 50% off, it's been on sale a lot before, so you'll have to decide if you like Valkyria or not, but I do think this price point deserves a spot on this list. Ukulele in the Impossible Lair takes Ukulele 2D, very reminiscent of DKC Tropical Freeze. It's 33% off, down to 16.74 pounds. The game has this really interesting mechanic where you can play the last level at the beginning, but you definitely won't beat it because it's so difficult. You're going to need to acquire a lot of extra lives, and the way you get these special extra lives is by beating the other levels. Now, there's an overworld that you affect by completing the levels, and then the levels change based on what you affect in the overworld. It's a really awesome system. The game just melds together so nicely. Is it as good as DKCTF? No, but they are pretty cool levels. There is some challenge there. I found most of them easy, but I like that the levels can go from hey, it's like a normal foresty level, and then you flood the forest, and now there's a lot of water, and the platforms change, so they get double mileage out of their levels. And hey, you can go to the final dungeon whenever you're ready. If you think you can beat it from the beginning, go for it. You won't, but you can try, and then come back as you have more. There's also a demo if you want to try it before you buy it. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is 75% off. Often they put this game down to $20 on eShop, and I say, wait, you can grab the physical version, or, it'll go even cheaper. But $7.49 is really good. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Davide did work here with the team over at Ubisoft, delivering a turn-based strategy Mario plus Rabbids game. It has no business being as good as it is. It has no business being as fun and workable as it is. And yet the Mushroom Kingdom merges with these wacky rabbits, and it creates something truly incredible. A lot of great cameos from the Nintendo verse. Got that DK DLC if you enjoy. Hopefully they do a Zelda riff on this for their next game rather than just a straight up sequel. That team hasn't said words in a long time, so I'm waiting for it. But in the meantime, you can grab the first one now. Holy cow, that is a lot of titles. So many games we talked about today. Hope you found something here that you were interested in. If I had to make top picks, it is so tough. It's so freaking tough. It's like there's so much good stuff. I love Kunai for 30% off. I think the Darksiders games for 50% off are nice deals. Tumble Seed, it's a flyer. Take a risk. It's cheap and you might really like it. I'm going to be getting Sea Salt because I'm super interested in controlling this Cthulhu RTS Pikmin army. There's just so much good stuff across the board. I pick games that I love. I mean, Don't Starve for 5.39 pounds. Even Trials Rising, getting it for 60% off. Axiom Verge for half off in preparation for the new game. There's just so much to love in so many genres. Something for everybody. Dude, grab Bastion for £2 and 2.2 pounds. It's cheap. If you haven't played it, you're gonna love it. There's just so much. And then you got the big titles that I mentioned from the US sale, like Spyro Reignited, Diablo, Crash, Assassin's Creed, things we talked about recently, also on sale over here in Europe. It's a mega sale. They absolutely crushed it. They hit a home run, and dude, like this is so good, especially since now the Animal Crossing's out. Not a lot of games coming to Switch in the near future. Well, go to the backlog because they've got 1,000+ titles and something that is awesome. It's probably for you. This is a great deal, and I'm glad that we got to talk about it together. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Let me know your picks in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to you in Europe. And again, if you're in the States or elsewhere, you can get in on this. If you see something that you really want to buy, you just make a European eShop account and grab a point card. It's pretty easy. I did a video on it back in the day, and I'm sure there's tons of other guides. So check it out if you like. Until next time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe and healthy out there. I love you a lot. Thanks for your support. SwitchForce out.